Hello everyone, welcome to this beautiful evening of ours. It is Tuesday today, which means that Manaforge Omega has actually opened up for the raids. Everybody can check it out, except for us on the EU, as that is going to be tomorrow. With that in mind, please, a full-on heads up, there are spoilers ahead. If you don't want spoilers, if you don't want a reaction to the ending cutscene, this will not be the video for you. For those that are sticking around, a big thank you to Squishy over at Twitch. Squishy also works with Wowhead, and Squishy, as the star that they are, every single time that there's a new stream out or new raid out even, they go on stream, they pump in there with the raid team, and they get it done, right? They show off the entire thing with role-playing, with audio, with music, with the quests. If you're into lore, would highly recommend checking out the channel. Make sure to follow, because every single time they do this, and every single time, it's an absolute blast. And that allows me to get a little bit ahead on work and a little bit of a reaction going. So what's happening? Well, Dimensius has been taken on in the raid and has been defeated. Will there be a mythic only mode? Maybe, we can only hope. Visually, the fight is incredibly stunning. It looks absolutely epic, even on normal. And then we defeat Dimensius as he gets sucked back into the Dark Heart, as that's the power source they've been using to bring him back in, right? And then, well, I'll just play it out for those who haven't seen it yet.
Can it truly be, at long last, the all-devouring is vanquished? My world, my people, we are finally avenged.
Do not savor this victory for too long. With Dimensius' defeat, the Dark Heart is on the verge of collapse.
You have found me.
I'll hold open the way, so you can make your escape. But to do so, I must remain on this side of the portal.
Which would leave you trapped in here. How selfless of you.
Some sacrifices are inevitable, I suppose. But fear not, Illyria. I always find a way to survive.
So Xal'atath is ready to make the ultimate sacrificial play. She's like, I'll stay behind, you guys go on ahead. But of course, this is Xal'atath.
We did it. Dimensius is gone.
Not gone, but contained within the Dark Heart.
As is Xal'atath. A fitting end for her. No. Wait!
You... What did you do? I kept my promise. Together, we vanquished Dimensius. And I now have all I need to claim what is mine. Oh, this has been a delight, Illyria. But our little game is over. When next we meet, I will take everything you love.
And that is how the raid ends. So Xal'atath does like an equal exchange. She takes out the energy of the Locus-Walker and she replaces it with herself. Who could have seen this coming, right? What I find mind-blowing is that they decided to layer the introductory cutscene, like the launch trailer. They've layered that with scenes of the ending. And I was working on the story of Karesh, and I purposely cut those pieces out. It does not change the trailer. Like, the trailer does not show a storyline. It shows clips. It shows highlights of what goes down on the planet. And from Blizzard's end, my feedback would be hire back those that can actually make, like, cool story trailers that actually get people excited without spoiling the ending. Because it's bizarre, in my mind, to just put that into your intro trailer. That said, the end result. I mean, Locus-Walker is a bit weird. Locus-Walker is a bit weird to just pick up the Dark Heart, but I guess he just did not see this coming. Whereas for Illyria, she had like a feeling of something is wrong, don't do it, but by that point it was already too late. You know, Xal'atath is still the manipulator that she is. And I do appreciate how Xal'atath does not change character suddenly. Like, she is still Xal'atath all around. She has been like, I'll hold up my end of the bargain, but don't expect much more. She is true to her character. In the same vein, Illyria, like, all the way that we've been through this campaign, she was like, I'm not going to be trusting Xal'atath. That's not going to happen. So this turnaround is not exactly a surprise. But what I do find kind of... both good and bad. Like, what I really like about this ending is that we lose at the end of the patch. And this can lead into something really epic. So this could lead into, like, Xal'atath going to the Sunwell, dipping the world of Azeroth into, like, a perpetual midnight. She has her sights set on the world soul of Azeroth, right? This is something that we learned in one of the intro trailers. So I think it's one of the purest, okay, this is her motivation. Because by having it in, like, the intro trailer, it's not like she's lying to somebody. It's not like she's monologuing. She has an intro trailer. Of course, there can always be lies and deceit, but all the good stuff. So that's the good part. I really, really like the ending of, okay, yes, we've defeated the big bad. We've defeated Dimensius. He's now contained in the Dark Heart. We have lost. And the next part, I go in how it doesn't feel good to end up where we started, basically. We started off the War Within with the mission of stopping Xal'atath, who has the Dark Heart, coming for the soul of our worlds. And now we are right back where we started, except, as Illyria will mention in the Stay a While and Listen, we are a little bit weaker, as we've lost the Locus-Walker, and she is a little bit stronger, as she now has, like, Dimensius and the Locus-Walker and the Nexus King and all that extra power now sucked into the Dark Heart. So, at first, I was like, it kind of feels off to just go back to where we started. Like, did we really do nothing in the storyline? But at the same time, we did go through stories. We went through the War Within starting campaign, we went through the Undermine, we went through the wonderful main campaign on Karesh, which honestly is one of my favorites. Through that storyline, in essence, what they've written down and what they showed us, especially on Karesh, is that Xal'atath is really good at manipulating situations and turning them into her favor. And in essence, the story that they've written is that Xal'atath is a villain, that even though we did our very best, she was still able to turn the tables. She was still able to turn the cards against us and come out on top. Which speaks a lot about the character of Xal'atath. And as I also mentioned, like, Illyria stayed true to who she was, Xal'atath stayed true to who she was. So the more that I think about it, the more I'm actually warming up to the idea. Hence why I now do a voiceover instead of, like, letting you hear the raw recording. It's getting late, okay? And in the same vein, this goes back into what Illyria talks about next. Let's check it out, shall we?
We stopped Dimensius, but now his power is Xal'atath's. Locus-Walker should have listened to me, but what would it have mattered? Dimensius had to be stopped. But in the end, the one who profited most was Xal'atath. And now we must stop her. More powerful, and without my mentor, our ally, who understood her best. I need time. We will discuss this outcome later.
I don't know if he understood her best, though, Illyria, because he did kind of pick up the Dark Heart. You understood her better, I'm not gonna lie. But okay, then we got the next scene, which is with the turn-in. Which, again, Squishy, thank you so much for coming back online and actually turning in the questline, because I was super curious about the Datamined dialogue that we had. For those unaware, there was a Reddit post like a month ago, And we talked about this in the video called, like, is this the ending? Because the Reddit post started to line up with what we saw in that launch trailer. And I was like, surely not, right? Surely this is not what they got cooking. And Squishy had to do a little bit of tinkering in order to get Venari to show up.
Void devours all. I'm not sure what to say. Locus-Walker was my mentor, my comrade, my friend. Since I first embraced the power of the Void, he was there, helping me to control and understand it. He alone supported me when my allies and family pushed me away. He saw what mattered in people, for good or ill. He was my dearest friend. But when he died, his past with the Ravel, the secrets of his ancient fight against Dimensius, I was so angry at him. I warned him. I did nothing but warn him about the path we walked down with Xal'atath. He wouldn't listen. She killed him because he trusted her. Because he understood who she really was. So this is my oath. I will hunt Xal'atath down. I will find justice for Locus-Walker. I will prevent her from becoming the new all-devouring.
Alleria, to make an oath on Karesh is no small thing. Are you prepared to take on such a vendetta?
I am. I have seen the lengths you have gone to fulfill your oaths. I will avenge my friend for all the good he has done in his long life. Even as I struggle to understand and forgive his evil.
Then we wish all fortune on your hunt, Alleria Windrunner.
And in the same vein, this goes back to the idea of we are back where we started. Because remember at the start of the War Within, how upset Alleria was at Xal'atath, and she would stop at nothing to hunt her down because of what she had done to Khadgar, her friend, her ally, right? And now she once again pledges the idea of I'm gonna hunt down Xal'atath for what she's done to Locus-Walker. I am very excited as to what this could mean going forward. And it will very much depend on next week Gamescom. Like, okay, what is Xal'atath going to do? What is the next part of the story going to be about? We know that Alleria is going to have a part to play in a book written by Christy Golden that's coming up. But that one is about herself, Adator's Rebellion, and then something with the Legion, something with demons. But that's a book coming up. Doesn't really speak about what might happen to Sunwell or Dimensions coming in and all that good stuff. So the wrap-up is, again, I love the part where we lose. I love the part that Xal'atath is still a threat out there and who knows what's going to happen to Azeroth. But there's also a lot of, okay, we're back where we started. Where exactly did that major story of the War Within go? What did we do? Like, what was the end result? And maybe that's the point. Maybe Xal'atath is just such a badass of a being that there was no stopping her. There was no other alternative. This all just played into her hands, and that is why she is awesome. Beyond that, and these are like questions that rose up while we were learning more about the Locus-Walker and the Devouring War, there are still a fair few gaps that we haven't learned about the coming of Dimensius. So, for example, a big part of Dimensius is that the Ephirials, the ancient lore tells us, summoned Dimensius in. And then throughout the questing, we learned that a lot more of the Kareshi heard Xal'atath whisper to them, to which they joined certain sides. Why did their king join Dimensius? Why did the Locus-Walker summon in Dimensius to begin with? Like, I feel there's a couple of, gaps, a couple of spots in there that they haven't filled in yet. And I wonder, now that the Locus-Walker's been devoured and the raid is over, I wonder if that could still play a part. What is really cool is that the story of Karesh has a very nice wrap-up. And I will say that the main campaign for Karesh has been nothing but amazing to me. I have been having so much fun with the additional history that they've given to us about the Ephirials, about the Brokers, about the Devouring War, all built upon the frame that we knew, right? Like the history of the Ephirials has not been massively changed. And upon that frame, they've added so many more details as to, okay, this was Locus-Walker's role and Xal'atath, and this is how it came in, this is how they were transformed. And with that, we also got like the Soul Scribe and the Oracles, right? And the Soul Scribe, during the questing, we are able to turn them to our side. And then during the campaign, the Nexus King shows up again, Xal'atath, and they're like, oh snap, we got like oaths binding us to the king. We're serving the king again. So they turn away. But then, as the raid ends and you get like a crystal, you could bring this crystal to Vanari. And Vanari's whole oath, her whole deal has been to try and bring Karesh back, right? And as Squishy goes through it kind of quickly, let's see if we can actually read the quest lines. Because they were having trouble getting Vanari to spawn. Alright, they're still on the quest line. They need to like clean up the oasis. But yeah, we get like a crystal, and Vanari is like, oh snap, a piece of Karesh's world soul. Like the Devourer's been doing his whole thing. And Vanari has been very much like, I want to rebuild Karesh, I want to regrow it. And so we go into the dungeon. And during the presentation of Karesh, they made a big deal about the dungeon being after the raid. And that is another thing that I'm like wondering, like Blizzard, what's happening here? Because the dungeon spoils what happens in the campaign. So first it spoils chapter 2 of the campaign that comes out today about the return of the king, right? And then it spoils that like the Soul Scribe is going to betray us again. Whereas the time gating that they put up there was like, you know, the Soul Scribe is our ally. So anybody who ran the dungeon was already spoiled on the story. A similar thing happened back in Shadowlands where they spoiled the Order Hall campaign within the dungeon. And they did it again. Only this time they were very much with the mindset of this is how we're going to present our story. And just keep in mind the dungeon takes place after the raid. Which had me scratching my head like, why would you purposely, with intent, go in to spoil this, right? Somewhere in the planning or in the writing room, there should have been a question of, okay, how do we do this? That is the negative part. The positive part is that once we've got this crystal, once the raid is done and the dungeon actually plays out, the final boss actually makes sense. And that is what Squishy is going to show us. Let me actually see what the quest line says. Been on assignment, taken blah blah blah.
More valuable than home.
Show Vanari the dimmed crystal.
It can't be. Is that?
We look to rebuild for them or for us for Karesh. Your assistance is in need for times to come. I think there's a little bit of overlap. Elegy for a silent world. Vanari stops if it's distracted by a song. Like the world soul, the radiant song, right? Where did you find this crystal? I can hear it in my head singing to me. Do you know what this is? If I'm right, this crystal is the essence of my world, Karesh. I spent much of my capital preserving some bit of Karesh through this Ecodome project, but this, I do not wish to assume anything before verifying if it is true. Place down the shard and let's see what we can find.
Oh, that song! Karesh, the world soul!
Yay!
So diminished, but not beyond saving. Put your hopes in the trust.
I can't believe it. What you have found is going to change the future of Karesh, the future of my people.
I must.
There is a site, Ecodome Aldani, which I've kept hidden. It is built on the remains of one of our most sacred places with a powerful connection to Karesh. It is the site of our greatest triumph of the project. This is the place where we can take the world soul's essence so it can survive. This is also the Ecodome where Soul Scribe and the Wastelanders are attacking. Clear the way for me one last time. For Karesh to survive, we need both the dome and the Soul Scribe intact. Notorious leader of the Wastelanders, her guilt for not being able to restore Karesh is only matched by her hatred of Vanari's attempt at redemption and the Ecodome project.
Protect my investment. My foot stop Soul Scribe from destroying the one place Karesh can thrive.
Okay.
I will meet you there. with the World Soul.
The dungeon plays out entirely the same. You go in, you clear out the bosses, you do the final encounter, they do the whole... what is interesting to note, by the way, is that I think the king gets devoured by the Dark Heart during the raid, if I saw it right.
Place our plans to the chance of success.
And they make the comment of, you know, I'm still following the oaths of the king. And Venari is like, why would you follow the oaths of a dying king?
I will bring your work with it. One last oath to fall and die or bleed in shame.
But behold.
Vision of your fate.
Also something about her powers coming back, now that I think about it. Was something in the dungeon journal, but it also didn't really play out.
Enemy unpunished.
So much wasted. All to honor an oath for a dying, treacherous king.
A dying king, right.
But there was always the greater oath to save Karesh.
And then, after they clear up some of the raids, for some of the ads that were aggroed, I pity Soulscribe. It did not have to happen this way, but I will not let anything stand in the way of my goals, not even the former High Oracle of Karesh. And then, there was actually a movie for the quest.
Has been for Karesh. What is
Because up to this point, as you ran the dungeon, this is how it would end, right? Like Soulscribe kneels down, orange marker, still has, doesn't instantly do the whole death animation. What happened to the Soulscribe?
more valuable than home?
I will die with honor. I will die oath-bound.
Be quiet. No more posturing. Before you fought for the Nexus King, you were an oracle of Karesh. Which oath takes precedence?
Karesh.
Here he is, fading a near extinction, but he can still be saved.
The exchange. A soul will pass through Karesh and emerge reborn, unburdened. And Karesh will be strengthened. My life for Karesh.
Petals and pollen, Karesh is reborn in you.
And there you go. Venari fulfilled her oath. Heck yeah, Karesh is saved. What transpired here will echo for years to come. The change will not happen within a day, a week, or even months. But with hope rekindled, we will get there, and we will be united once again. You have saved us all, and we now have the fate of the devoured background. Well, Squishy does, I suppose.
My investment.
And then Venari had a stay a while and listen. Squishy will DC before it's finished, and then the dungeon will reset, as that has happened to me twice now in the follower dungeon. I don't know why that happened, but it did. And I also asked them, like, can you check out the quest log? Like, can you check out like the story description? But the campaign went away. Oh well.
I have struggled for an eon. Now, my oath is fulfilled. Karesh lives once more. I'm no philosopher or oracle. Is this fragile world soul worth all that I did to bring it back? My people are still cursed with these bodies. Many of them follow the Nexus King, deeper into the void. But Karesh lives. An impossible dream that you achieve. Thank you. I think there is a moment to sit and take in the view. Enough introspection. There is work to be done. The Trust will need to protect this new wonder. And the Harbinger is still out there. She will come for your world.
I love Venari so much. And that is where, unfortunately, the disconnect happens and all that good stuff. But that is, like for me, the story of Karesh has a pretty sweet wrap-up. Venari's mission, her oath of trying to bring life back to Karesh, we can only imagine that this took place after the Devouring. Like her time in the Maw and her time in the Shadowlands and her time as a broker. Imagine that has all had to be done, it all had a purpose to play when it comes to like bringing back this world. And to now see this come back with like Dementius in the Dark Heart, pretty cool. A pretty sweet wrap up, especially since it does not just instantly reset or wipe out what happened to the Ethereals and the Brokers. Harsh fates with the Devourer coming in. Would still like to know, like, okay, why did the Devourer exactly show up? Xal'atath was ready to betray him due to the Rishi ribbons, right? Which I only recently realized, thanks to Twitter, that they're actually named after Karesh, like Reshi ribbons, but you pronounce them Rishi ribbons. So that's a thing, but actually Kareshi ribbons. It's neither here nor there. It's been a long day, okay? If you want, like, I just do want to make it clear, by the way. I might not sound overly enthusiastic, but that's also because I'm really tired right now. For an ending, for an expansion, at least it's not Warlords with, like, you know, we will never be slaves. And for an ending, for an expansion, I'm perfectly fine with it. It's actually one of my favorites so far when I think about it. So did you see how that incline happened? But it is one of my favorites, especially with the mindset of Xal'atath is out there now with the Dark Heart, setting her sights on Azeroth's World Soul. What is going to happen next? And I am going to lose my mind if next week they're going to go like, okay, we got player housing coming and you're going to have like your cutesy houses. Oh, by the way, Azeroth is now plunged in midnight. There's going to be like a Cataclysm-esque kind of revamp. Imagine what N'Zoth did during Battle for Azeroth, but better. Not just 2 zones, but the entire freaking thing. That would be pretty sick, but, you know, let's not overhype it too much in my mind. I think a world revamp might be a bit too much, but, you know, maybe we'll go into the Great Dark Beyond finally and we'll actually explore other planets. During this stream, by the way, I did have somebody ask, like, did the Titans find Karesh as well, since it has a world soul inside? Maybe. The Rishi ribbons might be related to the Titans, because it's all about, like, arcane magic and order and whatever, but we don't know. They haven't stated this. And then the question became, like, okay, we have now restored Karesh's world soul. Does that not mean that we made, like, a fresh new meal for Xal'atath to devour? But in that sense, I would explain it by saying that Azeroth's soul has been described as like the prime world soul, and Xal'atath has had her eyes on that little snack for quite a while. That is assuming that she wants it as a snack. She did tell Illyria, like, I'm gonna take everything that you love, so that's gonna be a thing. And then, of course, also the question becomes, like, okay, if Xal'atath plunged the world in midnight, right, if she does something, are we going to get her back as, like, the main character in the background whispering to us? Because I don't know how you all feel, but I think that doing a character too much eventually causes the inevitable burnout, right? I had it in Mythic Plus where she's constantly whispering to me like, ooh, embrace the void, it's gonna be awesome. And it's kind of like, okay, I get it, leave me alone now. And that is not even to say, because I really like Xal'atath as a character. I'm just saying, if the Lich King would have lurked around every corner 5 minutes, it would have gotten boring. Like, even the Lich King would have gotten boring. So I'm hoping that we're going to see a change of the guard, and then we're going to see a different focus going into midnight. But this is more about midnight and not so much about the ending. I should really rein myself in. Long story short, the Dementius fight looked absolutely sick. Of course, fingers crossed that we're going to see a Mythic only phase. Going to be awesome for the Race the World first, but we're only going to find out when we're actually going to do Mythic. The ending itself, Locus-Walker dumb enough to pick up the Dark Heart instantly. The reset of the storyline, we're back where we started, except now Xal'atath is in a stronger position. you could, in the most positive light, write it off as like, yeah, that's because Xal'atath is such a badass and she's able to turn those things to her favor. But at the same time, like, that's, for me, that's the more negative part. But the more positive part is that we're looking at the potential of, okay, what could happen next? We were worried about Xal'atath before. Now she has, like, the Devourer and maybe Locus-Walker still in there. Nice little touch, by the way, during the Dimensions fight that you saw, like, Pillars of Dalaran in there. Pretty fucking sick. And then with, like, the ending of Karesh, with restoring the World Soul Inside, I thought it was pretty cool with, like, the energy exchange. Again, for the story of the Ethereals and the Brokers and Karesh itself, I feel like they've added so much detail to the storyline. And if that's going to be the quality going forward, like, if that 1 hour campaign that we did, where we went over all the details, if that's what the main campaign is going to be like, sign me up. Yeah, I wanted to talk about, like, the side quest, but I think that will be for a War Within reaction video. For now, thank you very much for watching, everybody. And by all means, let me know what you think about the ending in the comments down below. Next up is going to be, hopefully I'll be able to do the raid myself tomorrow and actually get a video out to you real quick. If not, there's also some sick lore books that speak about, like, the origin of Karesh and the exchange and all that. So we're going to cover that as well. Gamescom is going to be next week. We will be doing a watch party where we're going to be live reacting to the trailer, and we're going to be geeking out about all the announcements and whatnot. But that's going to be for the future. Again, Squishy, thank you so much for uploading this, for streaming this on the Twitch. You are absolutely a star. And until next time, everybody. Bye-bye.